We're standing at a crossroads right now. On September 25th, we saw Russian bombers tracked in Alaskan airspace. That's not great. And then, meanwhile, the US is going to be holding a massive secretive meeting coming up very soon with hundreds of top generals around the world, which is like completely unprecedented, apparently. Tensions have been simmering around World War III, Russia, all this for years. And could it be boiling over? The question is, will you be ready or will you be frozen by fear? Let's talk about it. And while we talk about it, I'm going to be making some mac and cheese so I can freeze dry it. See, when I feel fear or I feel anger or I feel uncertainty, I take action because it is the only way I can control that fear and that uncertainty, because that's what I can control. I can't control whether we do or do not go to war. I can control how prepared I am. And listen, even if we don't go to war, everything I talk about in this video can be applied to every type of preparedness. Natural disasters, everyday emergencies, and yes, even wartime. So it doesn't hurt you to get prepared. Don't wait for confirmation. If you have to wait until somebody says, oh, it's official, we're going to war, it's probably too late. But also, we don't need to be assuming the absolute worst right off the bat, but we can be prepared. First of all, you need to change your mindset and realize that you are your own safety, okay? Rather than hope others are going to come and save you, or the government for some reason is going to come and save you. What? Expect the worst case scenario, but believe in your ability to adapt and overcome and be prepared the very best that you can be in the situation that you are in. Water and food. Of course, water and food are essentials. Bugging in is, of course, your best course of action. I am going to be talking about bugging out though, but food and water, start with 3 days worth, then get a week, then 2 weeks, 3 weeks. What did I say? I forgot. I was already getting my week count. And then 4 weeks, and then move on from there. Having a 30-day supply is actually a lot easier than you think it is, and it doesn't take a whole lot of space. I guarantee you could fill this whole shelf with a 30-day supply of food, and then you could put some bottles of water underneath your bed. You can put bottles of water in some closets. You can put bottles of water places. Even if you live in an apartment, the bottle of water is not going to be too heavy for your apartment, okay? The few bottles that you decide to store, okay? The grid could very well be unpredictable, so which is why you want alternative battery banks, things to keep certain things charged and to keep a sense of normalcy, especially with a family or just for yourself, right? Like even if you don't have a family, it's just for yourself. Have some sense of normalcy. You want to prep so that even if the lights go out, who cares? You can have a semblance of normalcy with all the things that you enjoy on an everyday basis. It's okay to continue to have those conveniences, but of course, also want to have backups. So we have flashlights and batteries and candles and headlamps and lanterns and all these things that we have for lighting and safety. Communication is key, especially during warfare. Have you ever heard of information warfare? Knowing information, regardless whether you are actually going to talk out to anybody, listening and understanding what is happening in the world or just in your general community is huge. It gives you a head up among everyone who doesn't have that information. This is actually a mesh node that my husband just built, and we are getting more into the mesh because you can text and talk to people on a very low type of frequency. And right now we're getting like a 40-mile radius because of other nodes in the area, but this is one that my husband just built. We're going to put it on our house, then we're going to start testing it. But I think the mesh network is super interesting, especially for urban areas where there's lots of nodes around that you can talk to people via text messages and stuff. Along that same note of information, of course, have lots of books, physical copies of everything. Start printing. This is your binder of printed how-tos and recipes and all sorts of things that you see online that you may not be able to access online. This little device is called an internet in a box. It doesn't use internet, it doesn't use Wi-Fi. It is basically your own little personal hard drive at home that you can access via your phone or a monitor or literally whatever thing that has some sort of viewing device. And you can download a whole bunch of information like Wikipedia information, ebooks, all sorts of things onto this device. And then you can just access it whenever you want. This is called an internet in a box. And no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi, no internet. it's pretty awesome. We just built this and we're downloading a whole bunch of stuff to it. Knowledge is power. Next up is security and defense. I have talked time and time again about how your local neighbors in your community, they're going to be your allies, especially during wartime. People can come together. You can have some sort of security plan. You don't have to tell anybody you are a prepper. Just say, hey, what's up? How's it going? Over time, you may develop a friendship, but maybe over time it's just, hey, how's it going? But then when S hits the fan, you could become more than just, hello, casual neighbors, and you could become much more. And align yourself with people and make a plan for security and defense. Of course, have your own personal defense for yourself and your family and your home. Secure doors and windows. Have personal self-defense tools. Know how to use them. Train often. If you guys want me to talk more about defense stuff, let me know. But I'm not a defense channel, you know what I mean? So when I talk about defense, I want you to go find channels like Magic Prepper and all these other people that talk more about defense and learn these tools and learn security and defense. The Secure Dad also talks about a ton of great topics. Ethical Preparedness, man, he is on top of security and defense. Highly recommend those 3 channels. Of course, situational awareness does go a long way. And situational awareness, a little ironic that as I was talking about security and defense, someone knocked on my door. I don't answer the door for anybody, ever. Even if I'm expecting you, I don't answer it. No, I'm kidding. But, tread lightly. So we need our bug out plans. As much as we have our bug in plans with our stuff and, yes, we feel super comfortable. We don't want to leave our home. Nobody wants to leave your home, but you need to have that bug out plan because especially during wartime, we actually don't know what is going to happen. We don't know if we're going to be evacuated from a city all of a sudden, right? So you need those bug out plans. You need the bug out bag. You need to know what you're going to take. You need to have evacuation routes. I have a checklist and a guide down below about creating an emergency disaster plan, which will go over a bug out plan. What's your communication plans? And, how are you going to do it? If you know your route, you could even potentially put caches along the way so that you're not having to carry everything, but you have little caches along your way. Of course, make sure that it's all on public land, accessible public land, not private land, right? Okay. If something happens, I don't want to be scrambling. I don't want to be rushing to the store like everybody else or in a panic or unable to know how to take care of my family during these times. Lots of people have been caught off guard by by war, by emergencies, disasters, by things that just happen in their everyday life. And I don't want you or us to be one of those people. I want us to be ready. I have a checklist down below of some ways that you can get prepared right now this week. And here are a few things you can do right now. First off, take an inventory of the supplies you already have. It's good to get a baseline. Okay, I have these batteries, I have this, oh no, this is expired, oh no, whatever the case may be. Get an inventory of your supplies, of everything you already own, okay? Now I'm making the cheese. Okay. Next, test your gear. So whatever gear you have, go ahead and test your generators, your radios, your emergency lights, check your batteries, check everything. So you've inventoried everything, now it's time to check everything. While you inventory, definitely go ahead and check if you want, That's definitely helpful at the same time as your inventory and do that. So now that you've inventoried and you've tested some stuff, it's time to acquire things that might be missing. So, let's say you don't even have a generator. Well, how can you work your budget and what kind of generator do you want for what are you going to power it for? Figure that out and fill the gaps and the holes in your preps. Then you're going to go ahead and make that emergency disaster plan like I talked about before. Just do a drill from your house to location A, bug out place, right? And why would you bug out? And talk to the whole family about this. Make the plan with your family and execute it with your family. Practice skills. Right now I'm cooking. Of course, you can learn to cook more from scratch every single day. You know what else we can do? We can practice just all sorts of skills. Practice your radio skills, your navigation skills, your reading map skills, your first aid skills. Let's see, your bartering skills, right? I think bartering and trading could be huge during a wartime effort. So, get to know, whatever barter and trade that you're going to need to know. And plan to do a skill at least once a month at the very least, if you can do one a week. I actually have a Prepper Skill of the Month Club coming up to help you learn new skills, keep old skills refreshed, where it's going to be step-by-step guide and personal training and that kind of stuff. And it's only going to be $10 a month, so it's going to be really affordable. So I hope you look forward to that. I'm going to be releasing that very, very soon. One of the most important preps is your mental preparedness. We need to be mentally ready for this type of wartime situation. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really hard. It's going to be hard to be positive. It's going to be difficult to, stay calm all the time. But we have to, especially if you have a family or kids, we have to maintain a sense of normalcy. We have to maintain a sense of calm. Yes, be real. Yeah, things are crazy right now, but just do what you can and learn deep breathing, honestly, meditation, visualizations, keeping yourself calm under stressful situations. I have 3 kids. I practice these things every single day, and it's actually quite helpful. These steps are going to increase your options of being prepared, right? And they are going to reduce your stress. They're going to give you something to focus on, to control, while everything else is out of control. And it's going to give you choices, especially that emergency disaster plan. That's going to give you choices to act. And listen, wartime is going to be hard enough. Don't forget the morale boosters, okay? It helps. Listen, I'm not here to scare you. Right now, in this moment, is the time to act, okay? This is the time right now to look at what you have and how to be prepared. And like I said, if war never comes, oh no, now I'm prepared for every other situation. Like, oh darn. We can prep from a place of fear, but we can use that fear to our advantage by taking it, feeling the fear, and taking action. Start today, and don't wait for permission, and don't sigh a sigh of relief because nothing happens tomorrow or next week or in a month or 2 months, because this has been boiling for a long time. And honestly, we don't know when things are going to happen. Regardless whether it's a natural disaster, job loss, AI taking over, or war, all of these things we can be prepared for. We'll keep watching, we'll keep preparing, and we will keep using our fear to take action. Remember to download that checklist and comment down below and let me know which actions you're going to be taking this week, this month, and the rest of 2025 and the rest of your life to continue to be prepared and make preparedness a lifestyle for no matter what comes our way. Thank you all so much for watching. Conquer tomorrow by preparing today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.